Hey everyone, it's 8:30. I'm gonna give you a minute or two here to get to jump in. Of course, my computer's gonna take this opportunity to throw some pop-ups up. All right, so tonight my plan is to kind of do a little bit of a review of the Disney Wish and our experience this past weekend. I'm also going to answer some listener questions that I have received already from you guys. And as I am talking, if you would send any additional comments through the chat box, in theory, I'll see them pop up in real time here. So, all right. First thing I had wanted to talk about, a lot of questions that came in were about how dining works. So, on the Disney Wish, there are three main dining rooms. That is par for the course with the other Disney vessels. On this ship, there is an Arendelle Frozen themed room, really fun. There is a Marvel superheroes room, also really super cool. And then there is a restaurant that is all Disney memorabilia, 1923. So the dining rooms are going to be exactly what you'd expect from Disney Cruise Line, not anything crazy different as far as the food offerings go. What was different in a great way was the entertainment factor, especially for little ones. For those of you with young kids, you know that long meals are hard. They're a challenge for the kids to stay and to sit, and it can be a challenge for the adults too, because sometimes when we would like to enjoy our meal, we're too busy working with the kids, to getting them to oh, be quiet, or oh, look at this, or color your menu, not the tablecloth. Hey Lisa, hey Wallace. So I really thought that both the Frozen dining experience and the Marvel dining experience were really great for our son who just turned 6, and for my husband and I, because my son was enthralled by everything going on around him. He was eating up absolutely everything that was happening because he loves the Frozen franchise. So he was really, really loving seeing Olaf come in, seeing the different singers come around, and it was just a really, really neat experience for him. He was hardly eating that night because he was so stinking excited about what was going on around him. Then the other dining experience that was super interactive was the Marvel dining experience. They have a cool lantern on the table that at different points in time during the show you get to push the cool. It's not really a lantern. Listen to me. I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about with Marvel. It's a quantum generator that you're pushing the button on in order to help out Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, remember, my son's only 6. He's never seen any of these Marvel movies. He doesn't really follow what's happening, but they made it in such a way that he could follow what was happening. He understood, not no spoiler alert here. He understood different things that were going on in this presentation that Ant-Man and the Wasp were giving, and he totally bought into, a fight scene happening on the top deck of the Wish. He was like, "Mama, that's upstairs." I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, that's upstairs." So really, really fun, really interactive. One piece that wasn't what I was expecting out of Disney was the tables were so close to one another that even though we had a private table, it was just a four top table for the three of us. Every single night, you're talking to the people at the table next to you because you're like 3 inches away from them. So, for those who were thinking about requesting that private dining, that's fine. You certainly have the ability day one on any Disney vessel. Day one, if you check your Navigator app, you can go and you can speak to someone from the maitre d' team about any dining requests, whether that is changing your dining rotation order, which you don't find out until you board the ship, or if it's wanting a private table just for your family or just for your family and friends. You can certainly make those requests. But know that they are requests. Disney will do their best to meet them. But as far as the private table piece goes, while it was just the three of us at the table, I mean, literally Anthony reached out and was like touching the person next to him, a little girl, like they were talking and they were super good friends, by the end of the meal. So just kind of know that the tables are very close. 1923, we did not opt to eat dinner. A little bit more on that later, our reasoning for that. But I did go there one morning for breakfast. Super beautiful. They have it split into two different dining rooms, the Roy Disney and the Walt Disney dining rooms. From what I saw, they are mirror images of one another, just with kind of different decor in there. Super, super pretty. Super, super Disney. All the cool Disney touches that you would expect, animation, models, all sorts of stuff from when the Disney Walt Disney Company began to present time. So that was a pretty neat experience. But as far as the interactive piece goes, there's not going to be the interactive piece for little ones at 1923. So that's my little rundown on dining. I will say, while we're talking about dining, the reason that we skipped 1923 had nothing to do with the meal or what we saw on the menu. It was because we opted to go to the show during that time instead. So let me talk a little bit about that. You either have what they call main dining at 5:45, or you have late seating dining. When you book with me, you'll have the opportunity to tell me your preference. Typically, main dining will book out before the cruise, whereas the late seating you can almost always change to. And then they offer their feature shows opposite dining. So since we're the mean parents that made my kiddo go to school on Monday, after we got back from our 3-night cruise, we opted to go to the early show instead of the later show on Sunday evening. Again, nothing against 1923. It's just a parenting decision that we made because a show that starts at 8:30 at night when my kiddo is usually in bed at 8 o'clock would not have been the best choice with him going to school the next day. And in truth, 1923 was the dining room that we knew would be least entertaining for him. So that's our rundown on meals. The next thing I really want to talk to you guys about, and I've gotten a couple questions about, was the Aqua Mouse. So for those who have cruised Disney before, you may have experienced the Aqua Dunk or even the Aqua Duck, which is our favorite. So the Aqua Mouse is your roller coaster water slide experience. So you start off going up a really slow tunnel on conveyor belts, and you're looking at televisions, which is a pretty stinking cool thing to be sitting in a two-person tube looking at animation. Now, it's the style animation that I don't love. It's like the Mickey Minnie Runaway Railway style, a new animation that I don't care for as much. But the whole idea of, watching the story unfold on the TV on your right, the TV on your left as you're going up was really neat. The slide itself is pretty tame, especially when you compare it to Aqua Duck. But it was fun. Anthony loved it. And it was neat to do it the next day then and see a different story being told on the television screens. So much like Disney promised with this, it is a storytelling experience just as much as it is a water slide. So that was pretty fun. And I got a couple questions about the differences there. Kids clubs. This was the question that came up over and over and over and over again. So DCL has the best kids clubs at sea. You guys know that I don't push Disney Cruise Line more than any other cruise line. I want you to choose the cruise line that makes the most sense for you and for your destination. But if you come to me and you say, we want something that's going to be top notch, top of the line, best experience for our kids and kids clubs every single time for kids 3 to 12, the answer is Disney Cruise Line. They've outdone themselves with these spaces on the Wish. We had the opportunity to do some open house experiences, which were phenomenal. We got to go into these spaces with Anthony and check stuff out. So we got to go into an area that felt like you were walking onto like a Star Cruiser. It was not a Star Cruiser. I'm not a Star Wars person, you guys. It felt like I was walking into Oga's Cantina is what it looked like. There were creatures, there was all sorts of decorations, all sorts of fun stuff for the kids to do with their magic bands that they have to wear to do the kids clubs. All sorts of neat stuff happened, and it was just totally an immersive experience. Then we went over to an area that had like a little pixelated kid-sized dude, and Anthony got to tap his band. He got to choose which superhero he wanted to be. He got to pick what color he wanted the costume to be, and all of a sudden this thing in front of him made these cool noises and lit up just like the superhero that Anthony had chosen. Then he got to run over to a screen, tap his band, and he got to do essentially almost like a Kinect. I'm dating myself here with the technology. But it was like a video sensor that sensed his movements, and he got to play out the scene. And as he did different things in the scene, he got to earn more like cool costumes and powers and abilities, and it was so stinking cute. It would always take a picture of him, and it was just his little face with the superimposed like superhero costume over it. It was so cool. All the kids spaces. There's a stinking slide from the main lobby down into the kids club. There's just so much to do that you could literally send your kid in the morning and they could stay all day. Um, yes, a Marvel training mission. Did I not say that, Andrew? Thank you, Andrew, for keeping me on task as usual. So it was really a neat experience for him and for us as his parents to kind of see him get to have that fun with the open house time. The next place that was so cool and unique to this vessel was something Disney called the Hero Zone. So this space is an indoor gigantic space that could be a gymnasium. So they have basketball hoops that can come down. And remember, you're inside, so weather doesn't matter. The second floor has tons of ping pong tables, foosball tables, skee ball tables, everything that you can imagine, all around like a second layer. And then they do something called the Incredi Games. This is like the biggest, coolest blow up you guys have ever seen in your life. You know, like the blow up bounce houses that our kids play with or that we used to play with? It's a bunch of those almost like connected. And you get to race against your kiddo, or your two kids can race against each other, run through either the left side or the right side of it, through little donut things, up and over a big climbing wall, down the slide to see who wins. And it was so fun to get to watch, you know, dads race against kids, moms race against one another, friends going at it. It was such a cool and fun experience that I would never have thought about being able to do at sea. It never crossed my mind that you could put gigantic inflatables somewhere on a cruise ship and let people go to town and have that kind of fun with it. It was just a really neat experience. I will say, because those spaces were inside, I didn't feel as though on upper decks there was as much other stuff. So for example, they didn't have a mini golf course, which is something that we always enjoyed doing on the Dream, or you know, the other vessels. So they didn't have that space. And then they had a different location for the adults only area on this vessel, which made it a bigger space, but it was slightly odd placement, in that where the aqueduct opened up, it wasn't as open. Excuse me, the Aqua Mouse opened up, wasn't as open as the aqueduct. Literally, you come buzzing around and you're looking down at the two-person loungers in the adults only area. So it's kind of odd placement, I felt, for that. Cove Cafe, for those who are used to that, still a normal, great experience there. Still a nice hot tub space, still a nice pool space, though it's a little odder to get in than in the others for the adult area. But overall, that piece was not at all disappointing. It was very pretty, and the location on the vessel on the whole side of the ship was pretty neat. The next thing that I wanted to discuss with you guys was the decor. The decor. So the vessel is fancy. From the second you walk on, you're like, oh, I'm not in Kansas anymore. It's beautiful. It's like decor that you would see kind of amped up at like a Grand Floridian or Riviera, kind of like that deluxe feel. Everything was a little bit shinier. And obviously it's new, so you're going to expect that in some ways. But it was just, I think fancy is a really fair word for it. I'm not a fancy person. I don't need for it to be all the bells and whistles. So for me, I was like, okay, this is fine. But there are some people who you could tell were just blown away by the decor and that fancy object. Oh, good question. So Amy wants to know if we went into the spa at all. We did not. I do agree the rainforest is so fun. And this one does look beautiful. And Amy, based on what I saw in other areas of the ship, I have no doubt that it is absolutely, positively beautiful. Lisa, if you're still on, and if you and Steve got the chance to go in and you want to answer Amy's question, you're welcome to do that. We did not check out the spa from consumer side. We did walk by all of the beautiful Hooks Barbershop and the beautiful Oh gosh, I'm flaking on the name, but it was a beautiful area for women to get their hair done and their nails and everything like that. Hey, Doris. So yeah, I mean, the whole ship was beautiful. Absolutely everything was so beautifully appointed. The next thing I'm going to talk about was a question I got a couple times, and also something. Oh, no worries, Lisa. Yeah, us either. Also, something that I had read a lot about and was pretty anxious about, and that was the elevator situation. So, those of you who have read that the elevators are few and far between are not wrong. They removed the midship elevator bank for this vessel. So instead of there being a forward, mid, and aft bank of elevators, there's now only two sets of elevators, and it's kind of like mid forward and like mid aft. So they kind of chunked the boat in thirds then, as opposed to, one at the front, one in the middle, and one at the very back. There are a ton of elevators available at those two locations. So that kind of makes up for the lack of the third set of elevators. But the elevators themselves were so small, you guys. Like, at one point in time, there was a sign that said 20 people capacity. At one point in time, we had a total of 17, and five were little kids, and I was like having a mild panic attack. So the elevators are small. The elevator buttons, some of you may have read, are touchless. So instead of having to poke the button and get everyone's germs, you can kind of wave in front of the button and it'll light up your floor. So as a result of that, if you stand too close to them, which I know several folks had reported doing, you can accidentally light up the whole elevator and stop at every floor. So the elevators themselves, I don't feel like we waited that long. After the show was probably the longest. We would almost always, we were on the 10th floor. We would almost always, true, Lisa. Now Lisa was on a sailing that might not have been quite as full as ours. I will tell you folks that our sailing was at 100% capacity. There were literally no empty staterooms, and most of the staterooms had 3, 4, or 5 guests in them. They made it a point to say that when I was asking about a dining rotation change, that they were very, very full and that they didn't think that that would be possible on that sailing. Now, we sailed the weekend after a 3-night sailing was canceled due to Hurricane Ian. So there were several folks on our sailing who were on our sailing because the weekend prior was canceled. In addition, it was also Columbus Day weekend, so a lot of schools up north were off on the Monday. And then down here in Central Florida, Orange County was off last Friday. So there was a lot of good timing opportunity available for our cruise the 7th to the 10th. That would not have been other weekends. So we were on a very, very, very full vessel, which does make sense with, some of the, I don't want to say service laps. I don't know that that's fair, but things that we had seen on previous Disney vessels, folks getting up from a table and immediately being bussed. We did see some lag time there because the cast members are running around so much. One thing that was crazy that happened that was just odd was Anthony karate chopped my hand because he was excited. He wasn't being naughty. And sent a piece of pasta and a meatball like straight down my Halloween shirt. And I froze. And the assistant server was putting silverware down on the table to go from our main course to dessert, and like watched the whole thing happen and didn't offer assistance, a napkin, anything, which was so un-Disney like. Like usually they would have fallen over themselves. Oh my gosh, what can I get you? What can I do to help? So they were just, you could tell that they were a little bit flustered and they were a little bit rushed and wanting to get us through our dining so that way they could reset for the next full house. Gosh. Yeah, Amy, laugh it up. I'm sure you could see your little one whooshing you too. These boys, they're killing me. So gosh, I don't even know. That was like a squirrel situation. Elevators. That's what we were talking about. So we did wait a little bit after the shows. Being on the 10th floor, we just kind of walked downstairs because no one minds walking downstairs, but no one wants to walk up, 9 flights afterward. Anthony was super pumped to see all the characters. He just had the best time. He was like half crying on Sunday night, about, oh, Mama, I don't want to get off the Wish tomorrow. Can we stay on the Wish? So he did truly, truly, truly have a wonderful time. And the elevator situation was not as bad as I made it out to be in my head. I really was like, oh gosh, I can't believe they did this. But it really was not. It was rare for us to really have to wait for the elevators again. It was mostly after the show, and then on the trick-or-treating night, everyone was trying to get up to the 11th floor. So I think I sent Andrew and Anthony in one, and then I schlepped up the stairs to get there and make sure that we were there for trick-or-treating. Let's see, what else? Hallway dead ends and wasted space. This is something I read a whole lot about. I didn't run into a dead end. That's well played. As much as I was worried I would. For those who know me well, I can get lost in a paper bag. But I did feel as though Disney did a nice job with having signs up. Of course we went to Star Wars Lounge, Tim. They did a nice job with signage. So let me go ahead and address Tim's question. Lounges, adult spaces, things like that. Again, beautiful, fancy, so well themed. We really did feel like we were on the Wish, the brand new ship, and having those experiences were really cool. Our sailing, to my knowledge, was the first sailing that did not require reservations for the Star Wars Lounge. You could just walk in, but they did have a big sign that said you were limited to 45 minutes at a table, very similar to the experience at Oga's Cantina at Walt Disney World and Disneyland. For those folks who have been there, literally when they take you to your, I say table loosely, where you're going to stand at Oga's, they have the slip that says what time you got there, and the bartender or server make sure to say, okay, you've got about 5 minutes left. Can I get you a drink to go? So it's a very similar feel. You have your 45 minutes and that is it. Do the staterooms feel claustrophobic? Sarah, that's tough. So I have been very lucky. I've been cruising most of my life. I've done everything from like an ocean view stateroom. I've never done an interior, being very honest, but I've done everything from an ocean view stateroom to a 3-bedroom garden villa that's like 4,000 square feet with like a ridiculous 2,200 square foot deck, family room, 4 bathrooms, the whole 9 yards. I've cruised the whole gamut with the exception of interior staterooms. A cruise ship is not, with the exception of that crazy garden villa, is not meant to have huge staterooms. It is meant to have good entertaining space, good dining space, while still making you feel comfortable in your stateroom. So one of the ways that Disney and other cruise lines, for that matter, do that is they usually just have one bed set up as a bed. And then they'll have a couch, they'll have a drop down, or maybe they'll have, a trundle bed come out for those 5 sleepers. So unless it's nighttime, when your stateroom steward has come in, they've set up all these beds for you and made it ready, it feels fine. You feel like you're in a traditional like hotel room. You have a bed, the great storage. So it's not like you're tripping over your luggage and things like that. They're not gigantic. Disney's are bigger than the standard, like average staterooms at sea. So that is something nice to know. But it really depends on the person. I can't tell you, you will or won't feel claustrophobic. That's not fair because I don't know what your comfort level is. The only time that I kind of got when I was on the elevator with 17 people, because I was like, oh my God, I'm in a closet and there's 16 other people squished in with me. Amy, yeah, that's really fair. And I think that that's worth saying too. Most folks don't spend a ton of time in your room. So your room is meant for sleeping. The split bathroom that Disney does is really nice. What that means, for those who might not know, is there's 2 different bathroom type areas in your stateroom. One has the toilet and a sink. The other has your shower tub combo and a sink. So one person can be using the restroom while another person's in the shower. You have the 2 sinks, you have the mirrors. Leo, I didn't catch the comment that you said earlier, but the entire deck is your balcony. You can go on all the upper decks and you can walk around and have that space. I will say that I do have a fair number of clients with little ones who choose a stateroom with a balcony. So that way, once the kids are in bed, they can go and sit on the balcony. I have a dear friend and client who I don't see on here, but Courtney was so funny. She said that she was like climbing over her now 11-year-old son, like trying to get out onto the balcony after he was in bed one night because she and her husband wanted to sit out there and enjoy that time. So there's definitely perks to having the balcony. If you have sea days, sometimes it's nice to have that private space, but certainly not necessary. It's really a matter of the time that you plan to spend in your room and what you want to use with it. And speaking of the room and layouts and kids stuff, one of my biggest beefs with the Dreams layout was that the TV was in the kids' sleeping area. They fixed that on the Wish. It's in the adults area now. So after Anthony was asleep, we very quietly booped the TV back on and put on closed captioning, and we were all good. So that was there, for us as well. All right, let me pop back over to my list. Marceline Market versus Cabanas. This is a really really great question that came in, excuse me. So Cabanas is the name of the traditional buffet experience on the other four vessels. So it would have all the foods you would expect in a buffet. They even used to have like little lobster claws that you could have. They had shrimp, cold shrimp, all sorts of yumminess, and it was a really big space. Fed you well pretty much all day. So Marceline Market is, again, I'm going to use this word fancy. It is a fancy buffet experience. So instead of, you walking up and scooping food onto your plate, they have all cast members on the other side putting those items onto your plate. So they'll pass you your plate, you'll go to the next station, you'll pass it back, they'll put food on. Or if there's another cast member within that area, they'll pass the plate from that side. I have no problem with that. It's fine that they did that, but it did make the lines go significantly slower in my experience because they were waiting on other people to do that. So Amy, it feels equally, if not more crowded. I hate to say it. It's beautiful. Again, the decor, you cannot argue. The decor on this vessel, it's stunning. It's beautiful. But I did feel when I was going through Marceline Market that during busy times, like, it was tough, and especially waiting for the cast member. How many pieces of sausage do you want? Come on, man. If I had the tongs, I'd throw the 3 on my plate and I'd keep moving. One other issue that we run into with dining was, and I did get a question about, are there still kind of lingering things going on from after COVID or with COVID? And one piece that I feel as though personally I don't think is ever going to come back, Disney has used COVID as an excuse. And I will say that with the owner of the agency listening to me. They have used COVID as an excuse to make some changes to save them money that I don't think are in the guest's best experience and interest. So they decided that they would not have Marceline Market or Cabanas on the other vessels open for dinner. So the only opportunity you have for dinner food that it's not in your rotation is to do the dining. It's called Fantasy Fair on the deck that has the pool and that whole area, Funnel Vision, on deck 11. So it was like burgers and chicken tenders and pizza and a really, really tasty like burrito wrap station. But that was only open until 6 o'clock. So from 6 o'clock until 9 o'clock when Marceline Market did reopen, you really didn't have any food options other than room service. So the night that I mentioned that we went to the early show, we were fine because we were eating before 6 p.m. So we were fine getting that. Oh, the barbecue was so good, Lisa. We were eating before 6 p.m., so we were fine. But Andrew and I were saying, like, oh my gosh, like, could you imagine if you decided you weren't going to go to the formal dining and then all you could do was order some room service food? And then the other problem was the buffet did not open on the Nassau day until 12 noon. For those of you with little ones, Anthony's age, my kid eats at 10:45 in the morning at school. Okay? 10:45 in the morning. So on the weekends, we give him like a little snack in the morning, and then we still eat lunch at like 11:30, 11:45, because he's used to it. He's used to eating early. So he's starting, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry at like 11 o'clock in the morning. We're like, okay, this is lovely. We finally got him a piece of pizza around like 11:15 because that was open. But Cabanas, Marshallese Market did not open until 12 noon, and even still, the side that we decided to sit on wasn't open until then about 12:15. So that was kind of surprising, on a vessel sailing at darn near full capacity, as far as number of folks go. That was pretty surprising to see. One other question that I got was about the shows. Oh my goodness, were they fun! So we got to see their version of Little Mermaid. We got to see their version of Aladdin. Both were really cool. Both were really fun. Aladdin had a technical glitch toward the end. It was truly at the very end of the show. After, for those who are familiar with the movie, after Aladdin and Jasmine had announced that they would marry and they were going back to the marketplace to celebrate, and one of the actresses came out and she said something to the effect of like, "Hey guys, we're just gonna take a little break." And we were sitting right next to the sound booth. The sound booth guy's eyes got like huge, and he slapped a button. The curtain came down, and he said, the voice said, "Oh, due to a technical issue, we will take an unexpected break. Please stay seated." And I was like, "Anthony, it's over. Let's go trick or treating." And we hauled out of there with about half the audience. But the shows, I love the shows on DCL. I honestly feel like that's part of the reason that you're paying what you're paying, is because of those stage shows. They are just that cool and that much fun. I highly recommend the experience to everyone. We did not go see the opening night show, which was only about 30 minutes long, and it's usually more like hoopla than anything else. But both Aladdin and the Little Mermaid show were phenomenal. Highly recommend. Highly, highly recommend. I don't think that they were as good personally as Beauty and the Beast on the Dream, but Beauty and the Beast on the Dream has won multiple awards for shows at sea. So definitely a treat there for sure. All right, so some questions that I don't think I answered. Not to miss things to see on the boat. This was so hard. Amy F. asked this question. Gosh. I would say you have to go to the Hero Zone. You have to. At some point in time when the Incredigames games are going on, you've got to go check it out. Race your significant other, race your kid. It was one of the highlights of the trip for, I think, all of us, that whole experience, and just seeing this gigantic inflatable inside. It was so stinking cool. So I would definitely check that out. I definitely think that walking the vessel at some point in time is a must do, because otherwise you're not going to know what you're missing, which could be good or bad, I guess. The 3-night cruises always seem too short. Those are the ones that we frequent because it works best for school and work schedules, but it never seems long enough. It never seems long enough. They do also have a really cool game that they're piloting on their app that's almost like oh God help me, the card game at Magic Kingdom. Someone who has a brain. They don't have it anymore. The card game was called... No one? Calling on the class here. This is going to make you nuts. I will answer Dustin's question while I rack my brain for this answer. We did not eat at the Inside Out Sweet Spot because I have a problem with paying extra food when I've already paying for extra sweets when we already can get all the sweets, but it was really, 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 really cute. Thank you, Christina! Christina has a brain. Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. I was thinking Kingdom Hearts, and I was like, no, it's a video game. Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. Thank you! Ugh. So the game on the app is very similar to that, in that you use the app and your cell phone to go to different areas of the boat and make different things happen, and you get to kind of like fight the fight, and they have different events at the end of the cruise on the last day where everyone gets to help save the wishing star who's been playing this game. So that was really, really fun. Ooh, Lisa. I actually have a client who just booked Hooks Barbie for her husband for their anniversary, so I'll have to tell her. So Lisa said that you can order drinks from a secret bar that you can't get anywhere else on the ship. Yes, Amy, the game was really, really fun. We played it a little bit, but again, it comes down to when you're only on the boat for 3 nights, time flies. I could have played that game, so could Anthony, all day. And if we would have had a sea day, I do feel like that's what we would have spent a good chunk of time doing, was running around playing that game. So it definitely is that fun, interactive aspect. So that's something that for those of you who have kids who are that age, or if you're an adult and you think that's a kind of cool thing, check that out. Castaway Cay was the next question. Tips for making the most out of the day. The biggest thing you can do, guys, my biggest tip for you is get your tushies out of bed early and get on the very first, if not the second. If you can't do the first, get on the second of the little trams that take you further onto the islands. Or if you so choose, you can certainly walk it, but I put my butt on the tram. So Christina, I can get lost very easily. Trust me. I think they did a pretty good job. But then again, if I get off of an elevator and I'm not 100% sure where I'm going, I'll check the sign that's right there. There were a couple times that I was like, wait, where am I? Like I got turned around, but I have to be honest with myself and with you guys, that's not unusual. My husband calls it my Disney radar. Usually it works in Disney parks. I don't ever get turned around in Disney parks, but I definitely sometimes get lost doing other new things. But no, I think there were a decent number of signs. I did not feel like at any point in time I was like, oh crap, where am I? What am I doing? And don't forget, like, they've made it so everything's on the app. So you can click in the app and see a deck plan. And while it doesn't say you are here and flash, like that's not too terribly hard either. I know, Amy. I know. Trust me. I've got to get on one of the week longs eventually. I will do it. So things to do on Castaway Cay. There's all sorts of fun excursions that you can do. You can do something as simple as rent a tube and float around. There's a really fun kids play area that my husband was a freaking saint. He pulled Anthony. Anthony is a swimmer, but if Andrew will pull him, of course he's going to take that. So Andrew pulled him through the water to the water play area, down the slides for probably like 90 minutes straight. They just kept going and going and going and going. So it's really cool to come down water slides and dump into the ocean. Scuttle's Cove is really fun for kids too. You can go on the slide, quote, a million times according to our 6-year-old. The buffet is good. It's all, like hot dogs, hamburgers, that kind of fare. But that is where you will likely eat that day. It's called Cookies 1 and Cookies 2. That's all included, guys. So you don't have to worry about, having any extra money. Well, it wouldn't be money anyway, charging anything back to the room unless you were buying like an alcoholic drink. For the adults, there is a beautiful adults only area, including another buffet over there for just adults. So if you're looking for that adult only time, you are welcome to do that. What else should I tell you guys? Things to do on, Castaway Cay 5K for those who are interested or are runners or would like to be a runner or even a walker. If you want to sign up for the Castaway Cay 5K, you can do that, and then they give you a cute medal for finishing. You see people do it every single time we've been there. We see people starting that Castaway Cay 5K, and I always wish them luck and tell them to have fun while I'm like literally like holding my beach bags and ready to go. What else? Making the most of Castaway Cay. That's a really great question. I don't know. Just again, I cannot stress enough, go early. If you can bring some water from the vessel, I always think that's a nice thing. Yes, Dustin. It is kind of an amped up experience. They do have some kind of nicer food over there. Oh my goodness, Christina, you are 100% right. So they have self-serve ice cream. And I always get the strawberry banana swirl. It's so good. And Anthony kept stealing it, so I got him his own, and we both sat there fat, dumb, and happy with our strawberry banana ice cream cones. But again, get off the boat the earliest you can. If you can bring some water with you, I always suggest you do that too. It's so easy to get dehydrated laying on the beach, so that's always something to consider bringing. Yeah, right, Dustin? 0.05 to the tram. All right, some other questions I had. Do I think the Wish is going to sail out of New York City anytime soon? It's not in the foreseeable future. For as far out as we can book, it's not going to be. I can't say it will never sail out of New York. It'd be cool. I love that port. That experience of sailing out of New York Harbor is something I think everyone should have. It's so stinking cool. But At least for now, there are no plans in writing to see the Wish out of New York, unfortunately. Next question I had was navigating the ship. We talked about that one. Kids clubs, we talked about that. Shows, we talked about that. Differences post COVID. Again, I think Disney's using the COVID excuse a little bit for their dining choices. Anything majorly different from the other ships? It is really just an upgraded experience. So we're going to talk a little bit about, I made some notes here because, one of the things that people always ask me is the price difference worth it? Is the question I've gotten more times than I can count. So what I did, to be fair, was I priced out the Disney Magic, a 4-night out of Miami from June 15th to 19th. I did 2 adults, 2 children, ages 8 and 5. For a category 09B, a deluxe ocean view stateroom, which is on deck 2 mid, it would be a total of $5,681.72 for that family of 4 for those 4 nights. The Wish on a 4-night out of Canaveral, similar dates, there's some overlap, June 12th to the 16th, because I was trying to be as fair as I could. Same exact category, 09B, deluxe ocean view stateroom, deck 2 mid. The total was $6,695.36. So just to make the math simple, because it's just close enough to be able to do it, we're going to call it a $1,000 difference. So $1,000 divided by 4, per person. I know that it doesn't work out that way. People 1 and 2 are more expensive than guests 3 and 4. But just to make the math simple, let's call it $250 per person. $250 divided by 4 gives you $62.50 per person per night more to sail on the Wish versus sailing on the Magic out of Miami for very similar nights. So $62.50 a night. You can make an argument either way, guys. This is one of the reasons I truly love being able to be your travel advisor and your travel partner, because I get to talk through these pieces with you. This is not a one-size-fits-all answer. I would even say that for my family, we could do either of them. Driving to Miami, not my favorite, so that of course is going to come into play when we're talking about the price difference. But for $62.50 per night, knowing that my kid's going to be entertained for sure at dinner for 2 of the nights, there's an argument there. The spaces, the kids clubs, the hero zone, there's an argument there. But there's also an argument of, $1,000, man, I could do a lot with $1,000 toward another cruise, toward shore excursions, toward an upgraded dining experience. So there's definitely arguments either way. Christina, I will say that is the one thing I don't want to talk about because I couldn't do it. I didn't want to try to sneak out of the room and wake up Anthony, which was dumb because when we were on the Dream in January and April, he didn't care that one of us wasn't there and we could sneak in and out. But I guess I was just neurotic about it. But we didn't see it. I've only seen video of it. It is glam. It is glam, Amy. Glam, fancy, super, super cool experience. I'm so glad that we did it. We will absolutely do it again. Will it be the next Disney cruise we do? I don't know. Will we drive down to Miami for the Magic or the Dream? Maybe. I don't know. It just, Anthony loved it. He couldn't stop talking about it. The Wishing Star piece in the atrium was pretty cool. They gave each of the kids the wands that they used to give out at, they still do give out at Cinderella's Royal Table, but they say the Disney Wish on them, and they all got to do a Wishing Star with it, which was really cool. There were just so many pieces of this cruise that were really, really fun. I can't answer a blanket. Was it better than the Dream? Was it better than the Magic? It depends on your family and your goals. So that's kind of the stuff that we'll talk through when you come to me to have that discussion about what are we going to do for our next vacation. A lot of you here in the chat, and I appreciate you being here, are already booked with me on the Wish, so you're in for a treat. Some of you folks are just loyal clients and amazing people, and you wanted to learn more. So if you wanted to have a one-on-one conversation about this, certainly let me know. We can talk through and see what's best for your family. Are there any other questions before I wrap up? Oh, what was Anthony's favorite part of the kids area? I think probably the area where he was able to do the create his own like superhero character, because he keeps walking around like literally saying he's number one, like Donald says he's number one and he's a superhero. It's so stinky cute. I'll like do like the superhero motion, so cute. Because he got to design a superhero and the color that the costume was, and then he got to like play the interactive video game with it. So that was probably his favorite, Amy. And would he stay on his own? Absolutely, positively not. But that is because he is firmly and positively up my butt whenever I am around. So if we were on the boat with friends, like if Anthony and Max were on the boat together, 100% he would go with Max happily. He just wasn't willing to go by himself because mommy's here. If mama's here, why am I going to go do that? Do Disney cruises have costume characters like the park? Sarah, more than you could imagine. That is one of my favorite things about Disney cruises because I love it. Like, I'm going to be 37 years old soon and I cannot get enough of fuzzy characters. And because it was a Halloween on the High Seas cruise, they were not only in their regular costumes, they were also in Halloween costumes. And then Pirate Night, they do pirate costumes. Captain Minnie came out looking beautiful in her captain outfit. The whole thing was just phenomenal. Yeah. So, and Amy, you know what? That's okay too, because then you and your hubby get the mommy daddy time that you so desperately deserve too. So yeah, tons of characters. Anthony did the whole, this is the first time he's done an autograph book. He did the whole autograph book thing. I will be posting pictures. But I will post pictures of the characters and the boat and different experiences for sure. Sarah, it's so fun. It is so fun. And I will say, I feel like the character interaction time was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. This is our first cruise that we've done this year that they've been able to interact with the characters. It was physically distant in January and in April. So this was the first opportunity that Anthony had to hug them and get their autographs and just so much individual time with the families. Oh, thank you. So Lisa, who is our agency owner, said that she would happily offer an autograph book for any of the kiddos who would like them for character meet and greets. If you guys book with me with DCL by the end of October. So if anyone wants an autograph book and you book with me anytime this month, I will let Lisa know and we will make that happen for you. Any other questions for me? I'd be happy to answer them. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. If anything comes up, if you're like me, the second I end it, you're going to go, I should have asked. You know how to get me. Donna at pixievacations.com. You can message me here too. Thank you guys for tuning in. Lisa, thank you for coming. And Doris, we can talk about that too. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you again.